Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tarot class number 5. But today we're going to be doing some deep dives into cards. I've selected 3 cards that are connected because they all reflect strengths associated with divine femininity. They're major arcana cards that all feature women. One of the things in tarot is there is a lot of talk about a balance of energies. Divine feminine energy, when we say feminine, is receptive. And then the divine masculine energy is just another way of saying active energy. And tarot really is about the balance of these things in our lives and how they work out in situations. Tarot's always looking to lead us towards balance and harmony in our lives and in the situations that we encounter. Tarot's very much a progressive journey of encountering things that help us develop these inner strengths. The High Priestess card, number 2. And the High Priestess is very strong lunar energy. You can see she in her cap. You can see the cycles of the moon. And it shows very much that she's a part of that maiden, mother, crone triad that we often look at, the divine feminine within. And you can see the crescent moon at the bottom of her feet. And that's very much representative of her connection to lunar energies. You see she has these 2 posts on either side, these pillars. She's sitting in a temple, and the black pillar is Boaz, which is strength, and the white one, and I don't know if I'm saying these right, but is Hakim, and this is stability. So strength and stability, and she's sitting in the middle balancing. She brings harmony out of duality. She very much is receptive to the divine downloads of information. There's a veil separating her from the traditional view of water we see linked with intuition. She doesn't need to see it with her eyes. She sees it almost with the third eye from within. She has that direct connection to spiritual wisdom and spiritual knowledge. And so the High Priestess has also, you'll notice, these pomegranates on the curtain behind her. Whenever you see pomegranates in tarot, they're usually associated with divine feminine. They're a little bit with the mystery of fertility and life and creativity. And in some cards, they are overt sexual symbols. So the unconscious and the conscious sort of unite in the High Priestess. She's not a teacher. You'll notice she's sitting alone, almost up on a throne. She just embodies this energy and exudes it. She is receptive. Some people see this card in their reading and they're very excited. When I see this card show up in a reading, I almost always know I'm dealing with somebody who has psychic gifts. Often these are psychic or spiritual gifts that they've kept hidden for some reason. But they are there, and they are directly connected to that universal unconscious. And when I bring it up, sometimes they hesitate, and then they start to share with me. And then some people, especially women that get this card, are very excited because they receive this card over and over, and they find it very affirming. But often, when I read for somebody and they get this card regularly in the center, it shows me they're a little bit disconnected from people in their life, from community, and very often women who come to me wanting a love relationship, wanting a partner, that they keep receiving this card in the center because as the tarot moves on, there's a time to reveal who you are. There's a time to step down off that throne and start putting all this spiritual knowledge you're receiving into practice. The High Priestess is just card 2 of the Major Arcana. She's just the starting point. So it's very important that you recognize in a reading that this card is probably tipping you off that whoever you're reading for has these gifts. But if they receive it regularly and they're having problems finding a romantic partner, it's because they're stuck there. And they need to see this as not the ideal, but one revelation, one step in their journey to fulfillment, in a sense. So it's a very interesting card. The other card that comes right after it, which is one of my favorite cards, is the Empress. This is also divine feminine energy, but here we see it more in the context of the mother energy. All about receiving. It's receptive, it's love, it's creativity, it's abundance, and it's attracting positive things just by being who you are. Your energy is like a magnet. It pulls things towards you. It attracts them. Very much I see the Empress as being a divine receptive vehicle, and she's wearing the crown with the 12 stars on her head, each one representing a sign of the zodiac, symbolizing her divine connection. So it comes down through her as she receives. But what's unique is the Empress now spills that energy out horizontally into the earth around her. She's very connected to the earth. She's also connected to the planet Venus. This is a symbol of Venus. That divine love put into practice here on earth. And often she's seen as pregnant. This is seen as a sign of fertility. There are readings where sometimes you just know this is a symbol of a child, a birth coming to the person that you're reading for. This came up very strongly in a woman who was my age, a little older, in a reading, and there were other cards pointing to what I would normally associate as a pregnancy. And I knew that couldn't be the case. So I switched to what this card also often means: creative projects, the birth of that creativity expressing itself through art. At the end, I actually even said to her, I'm talking about a project and creativity and, all the support that you're going to need. But actually, if you were a younger woman, I would swear pregnancy. And she just laughed because her son had gotten his girlfriend pregnant before he had passed. And she had just gotten a call from the hospital. That woman was asking if she would adopt this baby. So in a sense, that was a child coming into her life that was directly linked to her. So it's interesting. We can get so esoteric sometimes when we look at the symbols that sometimes a card is direct and very practical, and sometimes it's telling us the obvious. But you'll notice another thing about her is that yellow sky, that vitality, that energy she has, the pearls around her neck, that wisdom that she carries, and this wheat, that abundance that she creates just by being who she is and exuding that energy. Very beautiful card. So you've got your maiden, and now you've got the mother. Now the other card that I chose to kind of represent this triad of cards that I think working with this energy will help you remember it and piece it together is the feminine in card number 8. A different kind of feminine energy put into practice. This is a feminine energy related to strength. And it's a different kind of strength than we think of as masculine strength. This is a strength of love. This is a strength of compassion, endurance, grace, purity of intention. When you see the white gown, there's a purity that's expressed there. The flowers, that interconnection with nature. And then the infinity symbol over her head, very strongly expressing interconnectedness of all things. And that relates a lot to feminine power figures. Seeing the harmony, the interconnectedness, and using that kind of compassion and energy to overcome obstacles. The lion is said to represent the lower, more base instincts of humanity. It's all about raw passion, desire, very, what you would think of as ego-centered. But the amazing thing about this card that I love is the woman in the picture, she knows it's a lion. She's not going to pretend it's something else. She can't lie about that. But by accepting the lion for who the lion is, she is able to tame that nature with her acceptance and her love. And it's a very beautiful card where when I see this in a reading, I know I'm dealing with someone who's able to bring the best out of every situation they encounter. They are able to see beyond the obvious, to dig down deep for the positive qualities that love and compassion and wisdom can amplify. And those are the things they bring out, and those are the things they speak to. There are those people who escalate a tense situation, and some people really enjoy doing that. This is somebody who would come into a tense situation and bring out the positive commonalities that people in that situation might have and focus them on the positives, and then bring some kind of harmonious balance to whatever situation she encountered. It's a very powerful position, and spiritually, that is real strength. And the other thing about that infinity symbol is it really talks about cycles. Everything is cyclical. And she sees that this, in some ways, is a temporary condition. This woman is very powerful. And I personally think you can see how feminine energy has evolved through these three cards, which is why I grouped them together. You know, here's the psychic, spiritual side, the lone side, just embodying that cosmic wisdom, that universal love. And then you move into the Empress. She not only has that connection, but she exudes it in the world around her. And then we come to number 8, where this divine feminine energy is seen as strength, as a way to alter circumstances in the environment and directly impact, turning obstacles into harmony and balance rather than something negative. It's another way of using the creative feminine in dealing with obstacles in that way. I'm hoping working with 3 cards a week, really meditating on those cards, seeing similarities and differences between the energies of those cards. I'm hoping that that's a productive way to help you learn what those energies might mean when they're presented in a reading. Because the end goal is not necessarily to know all the meanings of the cards by heart, because we can all relate to it. And that card, by the way, this card aligns with Leo the lion. And here, we have the moon. This card aligns with Venus. And then this one usually corresponds to Leo. And, to see similarities but differences. And it helps you understand the energy that's moving through a reading. And like I said, correspondences help. And I will put the cards with their correspondences today, like I have the other week, so that it's a little more detailed for you. And if you want to write them down, and if you have a journal or you've downloaded those journal pages out of my shop, they're free, the free tarot journal pages. If you haven't, go to grannymagic.com to download them. And then you can take notes with the other posts I do that are more detailed about the correspondences. Do you read reverse? Heard reverse is the animalistic. I don't read reverse. I don't think it's necessary to read reverse. I think the energy of the cards as you put them out in a reading, there's enough depth there. I do have a video where I did read a reversal once. I don't even know how it happened, because I keep my cards all the same way when I shuffle. And lo and behold, there was a reversed card that Spirit had me pick out of the fan. And I was like, I don't read reversals. And I went to flip it, and literally my spirit guide said, I heard, because I'm clairaudient, that's reversed. And I'm like, I don't read reversals. And I said it out loud. And the voice said, this one is reversed. I was like, okay. So I reversed it. And I was so stressed about it, in a sense, that I grabbed that handy book that I recommend to people, and I double checked what the reversed card would mean, because it's not always obvious. It just isn't. But in this case, I did understand what it meant, and it was actually pivotal to the reading. So if Spirit sends you a reversed card and you go to flip it and you hear that voice, it's reversed, what can you do? You listen to Spirit. I was doing a reading the other day and I was pulling card, pull that card too, and I'm like, my gosh, because I think sometimes you can get too convoluted when you pull too many cards. I know people who keep pulling cards saying they're clarifying until they get something they like or understand easily. But they told me to pull them. So I had all these extra cards. My 10 card Celtic Cross turned into like a 14 card reading. But they were all important. And I will post things regarding these 3 cards tonight so that you'll have them to do your pages. So thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.